Good evening, and on behalf of the city, we welcome you to this Planning Commission meeting. For the convenience of those participating in tonight's meeting, I'd like to remind you all in attendance, both commissioners and participants, to please mute yourself when you're not speaking to prevent distraction and unwanted disruption. Staff will be enforcing this and monitoring those in attendance for questions during public hearings. During the public hearing portion of this meeting, staff will call on those who have requested to speak in the order that they signed up. Following that, anyone else who wishes to speak will be recognized. For those who wish to speak tonight, please remember to address all comments and questions to the chair and keep your comments brief and on point. If you agree with the previous comment, simply indicate that you agree. To expedite tonight's meeting, I'll ask those of you who wish to testify or believe that you might like to testify to please be sworn in. So if those of you who are on the call are going to speak tonight, if it's possible for you to unmute your camera and unmute your microphone, will you do that, please? If not, you can audibly say aye. So do you solemnly swear to tell the whole truth before this commission? If so, please answer, I do.
I do.
All right, thank you. All right, City, will you call roll, please?
Commissioner Nesbitt? Commissioner Nesbitt? Commissioner Ferguson?
Here.
Commissioner Wiley?
Here.
Commissioner Young?
Here.
Commissioner Preston?
Here.
And Chairman McLean.
Here.
Give one more try for Commissioner Nesbitt. Okay.
All right, thank you. Before we get started, I'm going to kind of go over the agenda because there's a few things that have changed. Case number 21-400-09 on your agenda has been withdrawn. Case number 21-100-10 and case number 21-100-12 are continued until October 12th. So I will need a motion for each of those that are being continued before we can move on. Yes.
In the matter of the continued cases, and I think we can do those together, correct?
Yes.
Or do we need a separate vote?
You can combine them.
Thank you.
Yeah, you can combine them, and if there's a problem, if it doesn't vote, then you can do them individually if necessary.
Okay, thank you.
In the matter of case numbers 21-100-10 and case number 21-100-12, I move for approval for continuing to October 12th meeting.
I second.
Mr. Wiley, second. Did. All right. Can we take roll call, please?
Commissioner Ferguson?
Yes.
Commissioner Wiley?
Yes.
Commissioner Young?
Yes.
Commissioner Preston?
Yes.
And Chair McLean.
Yes. Cases number 21-100-10, case number 21-100-12 have been continued till October 12th. Thank you. So commissioners and anyone listening, we will do case number 2 is 1, number 4 is 2, number 5 as 3, number 7 as 4, and number 8 as 5. If that's not too confusing, it's really in the same order, just minus the continued and the withdrawn case. Just nothing out of order from there. Okay. So our first case up will be case number 21-100-11. Rezoning of 1001 West Hayward Avenue. A request by Michael Miller to rezone the property from I-1 industrial to R6 single family residential. Staff, will you give us a report, please?
Okay, KC Properties LLC seeks to rezone its property at 1001 West Hayward from I-1 industrial to R6 single family residential. The site is on the south side of West Hayward, a couple blocks east of Chrysler Avenue. Here is the zoning for the area. As you can see, the color, the properties that are in the bluish purple color are zoned industrial, and everything south of there is zoned R12, which is two-family dwelling. And the applicant's property is in the red rectangle there. This is the comprehensive plan for the site. Again, the light brown indicates urban neighborhoods for this site with mixed use above that, I believe. Whoops. This is the aerial of the site with the property in the red oval. As you can see that there's the houses, there's on this block of the south side of Hayward here, the properties are either vacant or contain single family homes. There's, I believe, 3 vacant lots along this section here. Okay, this is the front of the property in question. It is needs some repair, needs some rehabilitation. The actual outside of the building doesn't look too bad. I've not been inside the building. It needs to be mowed and cleaned up, obviously. It's just a small single family home, 1 story. This is the property to the south. It's similar to the applicant's house. It's actually very similar in design and style. Here we're looking to the west, down Hayward towards Chrysler, which is off in the distance there. This is the property directly across the street from the applicant's property. It's a vacant commercial site. This is to the northeast of the applicant's property. This is kind of the industrial area. Agco, or the Always-Chalmers plant, was off to the right or to the east from this location, northeast actually. And this is the property that's immediately, well, we're basically looking east up Hayward from in front of the applicant's property. And then this is the house that's immediately north of the applicant's property. That driveway that you see there actually serves both houses. And it's also about the same size and constructed about the same period. And staff does recommend approval of this rezoning application.
Thank you. Commissioners, do you have any questions of staff before the applicant comes forward?
One quick question to staff. In the chain of ownership, it appears that this has always been residential use, although zoned industrial. Have you seen any reason that there would be any impediments to continued residential use?
Any impediments? What did you mean by that exactly?
Have there been any uses that would pose a threat to continued use as residents?
No, that area doesn't have much active industrial zoning or use of any type. The Always-Chalmers plant does have some uses in it, but many of the rest of those buildings in that area have minimal use or even vacant. Traffic in the area is light for any sort of, I was out there 3 or 4 times. I don't think there was a car went by when I was out there. So I don't really see that there's any impediments if that's the area, the type of thing you're asking about.
That is. Thank you.
Thank you.
So even though this property is zoned industrial and the properties around it are zoned industrial, that's not what's been happening. It looks to me like, right? These are all everything around it is also residential, correct?
To the east and west and to the south, that is correct.
Okay.
This goes back to the city's original zoning ordinance that was a pyramid zoning style where everything allowed in a single family was allowed in a two family, and everything allowed in two family was allowed in a three family, and everything that was allowed in multifamily was allowed in office and so forth. So if you had industrial zone properties, basically you could build anything in those properties. Now that changed in 1980 where that's not the case, and that's why we go around and change so many properties back to residential.
Well, feels like cleanup in aisle Independence again.
Somewhat, yes.
So that's good. Okay. Can we have the applicant come forward, please? And I apologize for the name. It's spelled two different ways on two different sheets. So is it Michaela?
Is there anybody here from South KC Properties? Well, we sent out the staff report and I believe they responded saying that there would be somebody online here for them. She's the only one I talked to from this organization, so I don't know who else would be on the show for this case.
Okay. Can we go ahead and jump ahead? Is there anyone here that would like to speak against this case? Is there anyone who would like to speak in favor of this case? And is there anyone on the call that is with South KC Properties? Okay, I will close the public hearing. And commissioners, do you have any discussion? Or I would entertain a motion.
Madam Chair, does not appear to be any reasonable cause, except as a matter of legalese, and I think the council would have spoken if there would be any reason not to continue with hearing this case. And if the council does not take exception, then I will make a motion.
You have a motion. Is there a second?
I second.
I actually was pausing, waiting to if the council had any.
That's true. You didn't actually repeat the case number, so you're right.
Are you asking if I have any concerns about proceeding without having the applicant present?
Yes.
Right, they submitted an application that was part of the process, and planning staff has presented the information. If the commission feels like it has enough information to make a decision without the applicant presenting, then you may absolutely proceed. If you feel like you need additional questions, then arguably you could continue the hearing to the next meeting.
Thank you, Councilor. Madam Chair?
Yes.
In light of the presentation by council, I'll move that in the matter of case number 21-100-11, rezoning South KC Properties LC, request for rezoning from industrial to single family residential. I move for approval.
And Commissioner Ferguson, would you like to, you seconded that?
I second.
Okay. All right. Staff, will you do roll call, please?
Commissioner Ferguson,
Yes.
Commissioner Wiley,
Yes.
Commissioner Young,
Yes.
Commissioner Preston,
Yes.
and Chair McLean.
Yes. Case number 21-100-11, rezoning South KC Properties LLC has passed. All right. Next case, case 21-200-05, special use permit, First One Hawthorne Place, Pamela Wells, approval to operate a bed and breakfast. Staff, will you give report?
All right, hang on just a minute here. Just see him. Okay. So Ken and Pamela Wells seek approval to operate a bed and breakfast at 1 Hawthorne Place, west of the Arts District. The site is on the southwest corner of Hawthorne Place and Winter Road. You can see from the location in this vicinity map of the applicant's property. This is the zoning for the area. The entire area, everything that's on the screen is on R12. Pretty typical for this area of the city. The applicant's property is this polygon shape in the middle of the screen there. The comprehensive plan envisions residential established neighborhoods for this area. Again, basically the same color, really no change from the plan from the existing uses to the plan. This is an aerial photograph of the site. Again, the property is in the polygon shape there with the black outline. Winter Road is to the top of the screen. There is a kind of a driveway alley that goes to the church property that is just right next to Winter Road. Hawthorne Place is on the east side of the site and also on the south side of the site. It's kind of an L-shaped road there. Hawthorne Court is directly south of that. This is the sign that was in place that the previous owner put up. If you notice, there's no E on the end of Hawthorne. For whatever reason, that's the way they ran their business. Oops. Okay, this is the looking west at the front of the house with the driveway in front of the building, as you can see at the bottom of the screen, right between the grass and the building itself. Here we're looking to the northwest, showing the house and the front drive. You see it's an older stone house. Here we're on Hawthorne Place, looking north at the driveway that serves the garage area that's just behind the house. This was built later by the previous owner, that garage there, and then I believe they lived above the garage, and then they ran the bed and breakfast out of the main house. This is the driveway in front of the house. You can see it's in poor condition. Most of the driveways in condition of the same. It really needs to be resealed and marked with an ADA parking space provided. This is actually the church property that's just to the north of this site. It's served by this road that goes, the drive entrance also goes to the bed and breakfast. It goes off to the west here, to somewhat to the northwest. Okay, here we're looking across Winter Road to the north, and that is the Hope House. And then to the east across Hawthorne Place. That is a single family home directly across the street from the site. These are two duplex units that are also on the east side of the street here that are somewhat to the southeast of the site. And then we have 4 houses that are on the south side of Hawthorne Place as the street turns and goes west. This is actually on the corner, and then there's 4 houses along the street here. They're across the street from the applicant's property. And here we're on Hawthorne Place, looking to the west. You can see the applicant's property is on the right here. The driveway is just right down there, just basically across from the truck. Okay, here we're at the intersection of Hawthorne Place and Hawthorne Court, looking toward the north. Where the stop sign is, you see up there, that is Winter Road. Oops. Staff does recommend approval of this application with the following conditions. The bed and breakfast shall obtain a business license in accordance with the city code requirements and comply with section 501004. That's in Article 1 of Chapter 5 of the city code. The business license number shall be listed on all advertisements and online platforms. The business must comply with all safety and other standards required by section 420 of the city code. All outdoor activities shall cease at 9 p.m. on weekdays and 10 p.m. on weekends. The pertinent items listed on the fire inspection report must be resolved prior to a business license being issued. And then all backflow preventers on the site must be tested by MO DNR certified backflow tester, and copy of the report must be sent over to the water department's engineering division. And 5, the drive parking lot on the east side of the building must be cleaned, resealed, and restriped with proper striping and signage with at least one ADA space provided. This work must be completed prior to the business license being issued. This case is somewhat unique in respect that it had some earmarks of a short-term rental, but some of a bed and breakfast inn. Sort of hybrid between the two. The applicants will be on the site sometimes, but not always. And they intend to lease out the whole premises to one party or one organization for use, which is different from short-term rentals that the applicant's never on the site and no meals are ever provided. And obviously they don't have the number of bedrooms and the facilities that this property has. And the applicant is on the call here to explain the application further.
Thank you. Will the applicant unmute and give you full name and address where you live, please?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
before the applicant speak, would you permit me to ask staff, for the sake of our viewing audience and for some of the newer members on the commission, to differentiate between the bed and breakfast and the short-term rental that he incorporated into his presentation?
Basically, the bed and breakfast, the property owner or the property manager lives on the premises at all times, and they may or may not provide breakfast to the tenants or the guest. The rooms are rented individually, or can be, or to one organization, but independently. Versus short-term rental, which is a one person or organization generally rents the entire premises and is not present on the site. And they set their arrangements up through an outside organization, as they may do with this. So they rent out the whole premises. The owner or manager is not on site, but generally in the area to come by and check for the place needed. So you've got on-premise versus off-premise management, and then rental of rooms and a bed and breakfast versus the whole facility in a short-term rental. Those are the two primary differences.
Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that clarification also. That's very helpful. Will the applicant please full name and your address?
Hello, my name is Pamela Wells, and I have my husband Ken Wells here, and our address is 1624 North Gatewood Street in Wichita, Kansas, 67206.
Thank you. Is there anything you'd like to add to the report, or you'd like for the commissioners to know about this project?
Well, we just feel like we're going to bring a lot to the City of Independence, being right there on the edge of the arts, future arts district. We'd rather see it full and being used in a family setting than vacant, withering away. So we plan on doing a lot of things to it. It's already a beautiful home, but we plan on fencing it, adding beautiful, all kinds of lighting outside, just, upping it a little bit more to be the crown jewel as it is on the edge of the town.
Can you go into a little bit more detail about how you'll use it? Like, kind of talk about the hybrid use of the house. How you'll manage between the short-term rental type and or renting it out to a whole group.
Well, it's basically, it's going to be 9 bedrooms. Like I said in our application, we have a very large family. We have 6 children between us. And when we go anywhere, we have to rent many, many rooms to accommodate our kids, us, we have grown children. So if they bring their significant other or we bring friends, we always have to rent many rooms, say in a hotel. So this will be basically just one family unit will stay instead of multiple strangers staying in a building, especially during this time of COVID. Nobody wants to stay, with other people in the same house. So we just kind of feel it's safer, and we're more on the family side where we like to keep units together in one open facility instead of hotels. So, we'll kind of use it like that. We will not be there all the time. We'll be there often, and we will have a management company watching it with surveillance outside. We have, we'll have the Ring cameras. We'll have all of that. So it'll be well watched, but we will not be there all the time.
Thank you. Commissioners, do you have any questions of the applicant before we see if there's anyone else on the call?
One simple question. Staff recommends approval with a number of items that was enumerated during staff's presentation. Do you agree to comply with all of those in your licensing process?
Oh, absolutely. We just want to better this house. It's already great, but we're going to take it up just a little bit more. And yes, the driveway, I already said from the moment I saw it, it needed a prettier driveway, resurfacing, and it already has all the fire suppression systems inside, and we'll make sure everything's up to date. And yes, that's no problem.
Excellent. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Commissioner Young.
I do have a question about, you've kind of mentioned it in the letters, just about you are hoping for large families and large family gatherings, like family reunions and things. But if that doesn't happen on certain weeks or certain weekends, do you ever see someone wanting to stay there and you denying them the opportunity for any reason?
Well, I don't know why we would deny them. No, I guess I don't understand. If they're willing to pay to rent the whole place, if they stay in one room or they stay in the whole house, they're gonna pay the same price. So we're gonna rent it.
But I guess the only reason to deny them is if we had a feeling that it was a party group.
Oh no, we're not gonna allow like parties, we're not gonna allow things like that. We keep it on a, simple. We don't want like crazy parties going on. That's a beautiful home, and I don't want it messed up. So we're going to be really picky on that. But I don't feel, I think we'll vet the people as best as we can. And I don't see why we would deny just to deny though. Does that answer? I'm not really so sure what you're asking, but does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Okay.
This is Commissioner McLean again. Are you listing it with Airbnb as well as a management company, or just the management company?
Yes, we will use Airbnb and probably Evolve also, and our management company in town, and then VRBO.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Is there anyone on this call that would like to speak in favor of this project? Is there anyone who would like to speak in opposition of this project?
We would like to, we're neighbors of the house.
Okay, can you please give me your full name and your address, please?
Yes, this is Sally Ann Thompson. I'm here with my husband, Terry. We live right across the road, 5 Hawthorne Place, Independence, Missouri. We were actually one of the pictures. We've lived here for 20 years and we've enjoyed the bed and breakfast. My parents have stayed in the bed and breakfast. And we're excited that it would stay a bed and breakfast. We were concerned that it would change into rental property. But our concern would be that it would be not just a bed and breakfast, that it would be a party house, or also that it would have people that would not be worried about the house. Our other concerns are about the lighting. We live in a kind of a quieter area. Our road is really quiet compared to the other streets around us, and we like it that way. It's kind of serene in some ways, and the bed and breakfast is a kind of a park-like setting for us. So to sit on our porch and look at the bed and breakfast is very calming. And to put a fence up around there, they were talking about putting a wooden fence up so that we can't see any of those grounds. That's not very pleasing to us.
Right.
And the lighting doesn't excite us either. So there's just some of our concerns. We wanted to make sure that those were heard. We are excited about the potential of it being a bed and breakfast, but some of the details we're concerned about.
Mr. and Mrs. Wells, would you like to respond to the concerns of your neighbors?
Yes, please. Yes, the wooden part of the fence, we were just talking about the backyard. If anything on the front, we're going to do a beautiful wrought iron, you know, going to just
The
add.
backyard faces our house.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
The backyard faces our house.
Oh,
So-
well,
what's the
it's going to be a beautiful privacy fence, honestly, just to enclose. We want to have a swing set over there for children. We want the families to feel that they can let their little children out to play in the yard, at least has some fenced yard. Like I said, we have 6 children and we're paying a lot of money for this house. I can assure you, we are going to take really good care of it. This is my dream home, a 1900 home like this. We will be there often. The yard will be perfectly landscaped. When we say lighting, we just mean beautiful uplighting in the trees. My husband's huge on landscape lighting. So it's anything that we do is going to better the property. I can assure you. We're fully invested in this, and we want it as beautiful as you do.
Yeah, the wood fence we're talking about would be on the west side of the house. Is that where which side you live from the
We're on the
house?
south side on Hawthorne Place.
You're on the south side?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, so I think you would see the wrought iron fence over there for the most part.
The west side there's a house right there, the white house.
Mhm.
You have a driveway, a gravel driveway on the west side.
Right.
Yes, we do, and we'd like to put a nice, brand new, beautiful privacy fence, like I said, to enclose for safety reasons only. We have little kids, we're gonna have grandchildren. We want a place for our kids that we can open the door and let them go out and play basketball.
That could be something that you could see through so that people could still enjoy the grounds.
Oh, no, you're gonna be able to enjoy 3/4 of the grounds with a wrought iron fence on the front, if we even do the wrought iron. But I mean, that's just to make it even prettier. That part's just an extra, just to make it fancier.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, 3/4 of the yard you'll still get to see clearly through.
From a
Well,
staff standpoint, there are restrictions on placing fencing in the front yard, basically being anywhere from the house to the street, has to be under 3 feet in height and also transparent, like a wrought iron, chain link, split rail, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So they
Yes.
couldn't put any 6-foot fence, privacy fence anywhere in the front yard on all 3 sides of the house.
Yeah, our only place that we were thinking was on the back of the house, I guess, on the,
On the west side of the house.
right, yeah.
I think we will trust that you will comply with city codes and do the right thing.
Absolutely.
I think that Thompson's, you can take some comfort in that. So the lighting, you're not talking about any like glaring street lamps or things.
This is enhancement lighting, just shining up the sides of the building a little bit to make it look more regal and beautiful than it does already. I mean,
He likes to do like
Yeah.
upshot on trees, at the bases of trees, things like that. It's nothing intrusive in anybody's eyes. No, it's just to make it prettier.
All right, thank you.
No problem.
Commissioners, do you have any questions of the applicant? I don't see any. All right. Is there anyone else who would like to speak in favor or opposition of this?
I would like to speak in favor. In full disclosure, this is Kim Glazier.
And okay, state your well, you already did your name, so please your address.
My address is 5300 Northeast Northgate Crossing
Thank
in
you.
Lee Summit. And I'm actually the agent. So I, in full disclosure, obviously have a vested interest. But I have followed the Hawthorne. I had it listed before when it was with James and Wendy. And Pam and Ken, they have done a phenomenal job with their other 2 properties that they have. And I think that if anybody had any questions, once they see what they have done with the other 2 properties, it's exceptional. And I think it'll put any kind of questions at ease. And I will also say this, if this were a private residence, you would not have those same kind of controls or questions concerning the fencing in the back. So this forum and being able to have these kinds of questions, I think would be put anybody's mind at ease, just because you wouldn't have the same kind of input, especially with a private residence.
That's a very good point. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim.
Welcome.
Right. Any more questions of the applicant, commissioners? All right, hearing none. I'm going to close the public hearing. And commissioners, do you have any questions of city staff or discussion or a motion?
I have one question of staff. And this actually pertains to this case, but also the other special use permits tonight. I know that as a group, we put some restrictions on Airbnbs, short-term rentals. I guess it was 1.5 years ago, about how many can be in a neighborhood, correct?
That is correct. Along a block face. That's correct.
Right. So when these cases are coming to us, you guys have already worked that out, correct?
Yeah, we actually have a map on our GIS system that shows all the locations of short-term rentals in the city.
I just wanted to confirm that. Thank you.
Thank you. That's a great question, Heather. I just had one curiosity. The outdoor activities shall cease at 9 p.m. and on weekdays 10 p.m. and 10 p.m. and weekends. Is that because it's a hybrid situation, or I've never heard us really talk about this for even short term?
Well, most of the short-term rentals, they've never said anything about having banquets or wedding parties or class reunions or anything like that. The applicants did say in their material that they will have these parties, these reception type things on the premises. And in warm weather, I assume that they would have them outside. You know, you've got a nice lawn area there. And so you want to put a cap on the timeframes when they can be outside.
Okay, yeah, I just
If they
was
weren't
curious.
doing any receptions or banquets or parties or anything like that, we wouldn't have those. But because they mentioned that, we put that restriction on there.
Okay.
So are those same restrictions in place though at like Vale and Bingham Wagner? Is it
Right.
that early at those places as well?
I don't know,
That's
but
why
they aren't necessarily in the same type of neighborhood that this is.
well, they kind of are. They're in residential areas.
Yeah, that's true. At least the Vale is more so.
Yeah. It felt a little restrictive just as someone who does catering and weddings. But I know, but again, I guess it is in residential, just like Bingham, and because you do have weddings at Bingham. It was a curiosity question. I wasn't sure where it came from.
May I ask a question concerning that?
The public hearing's closed. I'm sorry,
Okay.
but you can take it
Thank
up. Okay. Question or motion?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
in the matter of case number 21-200-05, special use permit, at 1 Hawthorne Place, to operate a bed and breakfast that also blends in some short-term rental. I move for approval with the stated stipulations.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I second.
Commissioner Wiley? All right. City, we're ready for roll.
Commissioner Ferguson,
Yes.
Commissioner Wiley,
Yes.
Commissioner Young,
Yes.
Commissioner Preston,
Yes.
and Chair McLean.
Yes. Case number 21-200-05 has been approved. Thank you and good luck. It is a beautiful, beautiful home and we wish you well. And thank you for keeping the neighborhood historic.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. Take care. Have a
Yeah,
good night.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, next case is case number 21-400-08, short-term rental permit for 3215 South Vermont Avenue. Sean Foster requests approval of a short-term rental. Staff, will you give your report?
Foster Investment seeks to operate a short-term rental on its property at 3215 South Vermont. Generally, it's east of South Sterling and south of East 32nd Street. As you can see from the vicinity map, its location. This is zoning for the area. As you can see, the zoning and for this entire area is a single-family residential. There are some multifamily zoning districts along South Sterling to the west. As you can see by the darker brown lots. The comprehensive plan recommends urban neighborhoods for this site, has basically everything that's on the screen. This is the aerial photograph for the site. The applicant's property is in the little blue box there on the top of the screen. You can just see by the aerial that this area is just single-family homes on typical residential streets. This is the aerial of the property itself. You can see the driveway is a single-car driveway on the north part of the lot. They've got a very large, deep backyard without any major structures. This is the front of the house. You got the driveway on the left side, on the north side of the house. This is another picture of the house with the driveway prominent. It's a single wide driveway. It can hold 2 cars, but the garage will be available for use. This is the house that's immediately south of the site. It's very similar in size and probably age to the applicant's house, applicant's property. Here we're looking down Vermont, looking south down Vermont. These are some houses that are across the street from the applicant's property. Again, this neighborhood has houses that are all roughly the same time, built in the same time and about the same size and architectural style. Here we're looking up Vermont Street toward 32nd Street. This is the house that's immediately north of the applicant's property. And again, a very similar size and style as the applicant's property. And staff does recommend approval of this application with 3 conditions. First, the short-term rentals shall obtain a business license in accordance with city code and comply with Article 3, Chapter 5 of the city code. Occupational license number shall be listed in all advertisements and online platforms. The business shall comply with all safety and other standards required by Section 14.520 of the city code, and the house may accommodate up to 4 guests. This is only a 2-bedroom house. The applicant does live close to here and will be managing the house basically as part of the operation.
Thank you. Commissioners, do you have any questions of city before we bring Mr. Foster on screen? All right, I'm assuming applicant is on. I think I see initials. So if you'll come on and state your name and your full address.
Sean Foster, and I live at 3909 South Phelps Road, right here in Independence.
Thank you. Tell us anything you want us to know that the city didn't cover and why you want to do this.
Not much. Well, I want to do it. So my options are really a normal rental, or I furnish it and do a short-term rental. So I'm going the latter route right now. I've got some friends that own a couple actually here in Independence that they do real well, and they seem to think they're almost easier to manage than a normal rental. So that's the route I'm looking to go. I don't really have anything to add. I'll be welcomed. I can answer any questions anybody has though.
Okay, commissioners, do you have any questions? No questions. Okay. Is there anyone on this call that would like to speak in favor of this project? Is there anyone, sorry. Is there anyone who would like to speak in opposition of this project? Hearing none. Are there any other questions of city staff or the applicant, commissioners? Hearing none, the public portion of this case is closed. Commissioners, any conversation? Or I would entertain a motion.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Commissioner.
the matter before us appear to be rather straightforward. The paperwork appears to be in order. I find no cause not to make a motion in the matter of case 21-400-08 short-term rental permit at 3215 South Vermont for purposes move for approval of this short-term rental application.
You said
I
with
second.
recommendations, correct? Commissioner Wiley, second. Okay. City, we're ready for roll.
Commissioner Ferguson,
Yes.
Commissioner Wiley,
Yes.
Commissioner Young,
Yes.
Commissioner Preston,
Yes.
and Chair McLean.
Yes. Case number 21-400-08 has approved. Good luck, and I'm sure you made the right decision.
Thank you.
Case number 21-400-09 10, short-term rental for 4300 South Liberty Street. Elin, sorry if I get that wrong, Edmondson requests approval to operate a short-term rental business. Staff, will you give a report?
Okay. This case, short-term rental is in the vicinity of 4300 block of South Liberty. As you can see from the vicinity map, it's basically that residential area that's behind west of Taco John's, that sort of is tucked in within the commercial and industrial development there west of Nolan Road. As you can see from the zoning map here, it's the T intersection there where this Liberty that's dead end on both ends there, with industrial properties behind to the west, and then service commercial to the north, and other Nolan Road related businesses a few blocks back to the east. Of course, into the street is the backside of a large apartment complex there. The comprehensive plan sees this neighborhood remaining and being preserved. It's an established neighborhood here in Independence, and is shown on the comprehensive plan as a residential established neighborhood. So here's a aerial view of the house. It's a dead tree there in the backyard. I'll talk about that a little later. This shows the distance from the nearest short-term rental that's off to the east over there near Phelps Road. So it's quite distance from any other established short-term rental right now. So the property contains 864 square feet. It's a small ranch with a single car garage. There's a narrow single wide car driveway leading from the street to the garage. The home is has a 72-foot deep backyard, and of course abuts that industrial district. As far as the number of guests, the applicant's letter indicates that the home contains 3 bedrooms, while Mr. Edmondson seeks to have an occupancy of 7 total guests. A maximum of 6 adults is applicable due to the number of bedrooms. This business will be advertised on Airbnb and VRBO websites. As far as the parking goes, the property has a single car garage and driveway with room for 2 cars, and of course parking location on the street in front of the steps there. Further, the driveway should be repaired or repaved. Loud, unruly guests and complaints. Well, guests will receive 1 warning from the property manager, and after that, they will be asked to vacate the premises without a refund. Security cameras will be installed in the front and behind the house. So here's the straight on view looking west. And then this is looking, let's see, north toward the service commercial area up toward 42nd Terrace. This is the other direction looking down toward the apartments to the south at the end of the dead end here. And this is looking back toward Nolan Road.
Staff recommends approval of this home business with the following conditions. Number one, the short-term rental should obtain a business license in accordance with the city code and comply with Article 3, Chapter 5 of the city code. The occupation license number shall be listed on all advertisements and on all online platforms. The business must comply with all safety and other standards established by Section 14.420 of the city code. Number three, the property must have its own trash service and not use off-site trash pickup. Number four, as I talked about earlier, I left off the second sentence of the approval on your staff report, the condition. I have the statement here, the property has a single car garage, driveway with room for 2 cars and a parking location in the street. And then the second part of that should say the driveway must be repaired or repaved, as it says on the other page. Number 5, the maximum occupancy of the premises is limited to 6 adults, 10 total, according to code. And number 6, all dead and deceased trees must be removed. And that concludes my presentation. I'm ready to take any questions.
Thank you. Commissioners, do you have any questions of staff before we call Mr. Edmondson up?
One question regarding the trees. One of the photos showed a tree that had been trimmed down to basically the main portions of it. I don't know the length of time that it's gone on and how long it's been trimmed, or is it really dead and diseased? But I'm always concerned when I see that kind of a tree, and the idea of potentially a guest being there. So this application process, are we saying that this particular tree or trees would be removed in the application process before it is licensed?
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
that's what that it implies, yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I would be curious about the parking spaces. Does street parking count as parking? Because so if there's room for 5 cars, and with the property that we're looking at, that seems to be a bit excessive.
So you're asking, our code allows for, Stuart, isn't it, one of the spaces to be on street? It does allow for on-street parking. Theoretically, you could park one in the garage, and you could do 2 on the driveway. And then if they're small enough, I guess you could have 2 out front on the street. I was looking at how narrow the house was and where the drive was, and that's why I stated 1 car in my report.
Does that help?
Yes, and with Commissioner Preston's question of these conditions being met before a license is issued, I would also have the same sort of question about security and how guests would be monitored. So we would know that cameras are installed before things like that get approved.
I mean, it would be a condition, so they would they could potentially have their license revoked if those requirements aren't kept up.
Okay, thank you.
Any other
Madam
questions?
Chair,
Yes.
may I ask a point of clarification? So Mr. Harker, just so I'm clear, is the condition listed at number 2, referring to section 14-420 of the city code? Is that where the camera requirement is? I ask because I see it in the background description in the staff report, but I don't see it expressly written in the conditions. So I just want to make sure that that's where that's covered.
I think it has to do with some of the fire safety stuff, doesn't it?
No, I don't think so. No cameras are required by fire safety.
No, it can't. No, the code doesn't require the cameras. That section. I'm saying that section I think has to do with the inspection that the fire department does.
Okay, so I guess to clarify Commission Member Young's question, then I don't see a condition listed that would address what I see down below about security cameras will be installed in front and behind the house. So maybe if the applicant is willing to add that as a condition, that's up to the commission to choose, but I might just suggest it if that's a concern.
Yeah, I'm glad that you clarified that because I also I don't remember there being a requirement that they had cameras. It was more of a preference.
Yes.
Yeah.
I remember the same thing. Thank you.
Yeah, I was going to clarify, Madam Chair. I don't believe there is a requirement for cameras. I think it was just mentioned in the staff report, and I think that's why it was in the applicant's letter, which I think is why it ended up in Brian's staff report. So if that is the preference of the commission to formalize that in the recommendation or in the conditions, I think that would be wise.
Certainly, it appears the applicant is on here, so we can ask them at the appropriate time.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's bring the applicant forward and let him tell us what he would like us to know. We can ask him that specific question. And then if that is something that we would like to put in as a condition, we can do that.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
point of clarification, does the code require cameras?
No.
Then why would we impose that if we have no authority to, if it's not in the codes, and why would we be saying that? I know most operations of this type do have cameras outside, but if we don't have the authority to require it, then I don't see why we should attempt to impose that. And I'll yield back to council for further clarification.
Madam Chairman, if I could respond then, and again, as I mentioned previously, if the applicant had mentioned it in the application, then it sounds like something they may be willing to voluntarily do, and that may be something that they want for their own security. So that's why my suggestion would be is that we would ask the applicant if they'd be willing to voluntarily comply and add that as a condition to the issuance.
All right, thank you. So if the applicant would come on and please state your full name and your address.
How you doing? I'm Elgin Edmondson. I stay at 11700 East 48 Tiggers.
Thank you. What would you like to tell us about your project?
Well, first off, I'll start with the tree. The tree actually just recently was trimmed. It's actually not dead. That's why it looks bare like that. We recently got it trimmed. That tree actually used to hang way over the house. So that's where we were able to get it cut to for the time being. The cameras, yes, as you guys stated, that just was something extra I planned to do that I added in there. I know it's not a requirement, but from other friends that have short-term rentals, it's definitely something that you would want to do. And I don't remember kind of the other questions.
Why don't you kind of go over why you would like to do this, what your interest is, and how far away you live, who will be managing it?
Well, I actually stay about 5 minutes from the property, from the address I stated earlier. And
Okay.
I'm actually in real estate myself. And as the other guy stated earlier, I normally either just rent them out or flip them fast. So I just decided this time maybe I'll Airbnb this one out, to give it a try. I have other real estate friends that are very successful at it, so I figured out maybe I would try. The inside has already been decorated. It's fully furnished, TVs in every room, beds in every room, refrigerator, microwave, everything, fire extinguisher. I got smoke alarms in every room. Pretty much covered all my bases on that as far as safety goes.
Thank you. Are there any questions commissioners have?
I guess my only question is, I think the biggest expense, in my opinion, would be that driveway repair. And if that's something that he's okay doing.
Yes, that's something that we plan to work on. It wasn't something that was immediate just because it is so expensive, but I actually did plan to try to go out and patch it and fill all the cracks to where it's at least smooth enough to where you drive on it. It'll be more leveled out. But as far as redoing the whole thing, that'll be something in the next few months that we'll be doing. So hopefully I can start this up and I can get, some extra income so I can fix the driveway.
So it's possible that with the approval of this, you may have to do the driveway before you are able to open it. Are you good with that?
If that's what I have to do, I mean, I'll work towards that. But if it's something that, if you guys will at least allow me to at least, it's not as bad as it actually looks. I mean, you can fit 2 or 3 cars on there. It's just in the middle. It just got a couple cracks. But if you guys would allow me to at least fill the cracks, at least to smooth it out, and give me some time to get some revenue to actually get it all the way fixed, it'll probably cost about $5 to $6 grand to fix the whole thing.
Madam Chair, I believe we have allowed for that type of repair over the first year licensing process. However, my greater concern is the removal of those trim trees. I am absolutely uncomfortable in a licensing process with those trees in the condition that they're in, albeit it is stated that it was recently trimmed. That I see as fundamental to the licensing process that we probably could accommodate in terms of the driveway. But I think we probably should be uncompromising as to those tree removals as a matter of safety.
I mean, yes. I mean, we actually spent about $10,000 just cutting them to where they are now. It's going to cost about $30,000 to get those trees cut down, just being honest with you. And like I said, maybe if over time I can work out, I can cut it down little by little, but just cutting those big trees like that down right now, it's just too expensive. And I don't want to let that, be the holdback on this property because it's still a good property. It's a bare property. You don't have anything falling off of it. You don't have any any limbs or anything falling from it. It's as you see it is as it is. It's bare. If anything, the trees next to it have limbs and stuff that fall after storms and everything. That one doesn't. It's nothing there.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
And yeah, so staff recommendation is that those trees get removed, right? And removed completely, or are we saying that we're satisfied with how it looks now?
That's a question for the city. Are you saying complete removal or are you satisfied with the trim?
Well, we stated that all dead or deceased trees will need to be removed. I guess I'm not an arborist, and the applicant said the tree is alive.
Yeah, if you look at the root of the tree, it's actually
maybe we should have someone look at the tree and tell us whether it's gonna survive or not, and whether it's dangerous.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
it may be prudent to follow the recommendation of staff and have an arborist look at that, make a determination and a recommendation as whether or not that tree in its present state, it would be safe for the next 10 or 11 months. I know as for myself, I could simply, without that, there's no way I could possibly vote to approve this. So in lieu of that, I think we ought to consider staff's recommendation and possibly continue this until that report is forthcoming.
Madam Chairman, what I might suggest is, again, that as the way staff has presented the conditions is the conditions have to be fulfilled before a license can be issued. I think that if the commission is okay with the 7 or 8 conditions, depending on where we end up on this listed, obviously, I think, staff has to be able to support a decision one way or the other, whether that tree has to be removed. And I think at that point, we could have an arborist take a look at it to tell us, and it's either going to be a go or no go situation at that point. Staff will have, the arborist report to rely on as to determine whether or not the license can actually be issued, because at that point, we would know whether condition 6 has been met or not. And I think, from that standpoint, if the commission is comfortable with these recommendations, that could proceed, and then we would just have to have staff would have to gather the proper evidence at that point to determine whether or not the license can be issued.
Madam Chair, I concur with council that we can move on this with the conditions as stated, and leaving it to staff to make that determination with the recommendations of an arborist, and then the issuing of a license. I'm satisfied with that.
Thank you. That was very helpful. So just for clarification, so if we are good with the approval, with the recommendations from the city, we can go ahead with the case and vote on it when we're ready, because they can take care of it in the license process and make sure that these conditions are met. Are there any other questions of the applicant? All right, is there anyone on the call who wishes to speak in favor of this case? Is there anyone on the call who would like to speak in opposition of this case? Hearing none. Are the commissioners, do you have any more questions of the applicant or the city before we close this public hearing? All right, the public hearing has been closed. Commissioners, any more discussion, thoughts on this, or I would entertain a motion?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
in the matter of case number 21-400-10, short-term rental at 4300 South Liberty Street, in the matter of operations of a short-term rental business, I move for approval with staff, with the stipulations as stated by staff, and those items relevant to the licensing process would be resolved by city staff.
I second.
Thank you, Commissioner Wiley. All right, we are ready for roll call.
Okay, Commissioner Ferguson,
Yes.
Commissioner Wiley,
Yes.
Commissioner Young,
Yes.
Commissioner Preston,
Yes.
Chairman McLean.
Yes. Case number 21-400-10, short-term rental, has been approved. Congratulations, and I know you'll be working with the city to work on these recommendations, so good luck.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, next case, 21-840-01, an appeal to administrative adjustment decision to the non-residential design requirements. Staff.
This first slide shows the vicinity map for the property in question. And let's see. That's right off Cracker Neck Road, the northeast corner of Cracker Neck Road in Bulger, behind roughly where the old what was that, J.C. Penney's was. Bulger Square Shopping Center. And oh, there we go. So it's a property that's zone C2 and has a landscaping business. You've got a condo project that lies just to the east. Of course, the shopping center, the Bulger Square, to the southeast there. And then patio duplex home community zoned R12 there to the west. As you can see, the comprehensive plan shows the area as envisioned as residential, although the adjacent commercial to the south is indicated on the plan as being a commercial node. On July 14th, 2021, Joshua Keller made an application with the Community Development Department after being issued a stop work order for a 2,040 square foot 5-bay metal garage storage building constructed without a building permit. The new building, erected without plan review, does not meet the non-residential design standards of the UDO. A permit application has been submitted and all other city departments and divisions have been satisfied. However, zoning requires that the UDO's non-residential design standards be met. Mr. Keller applied for an administrative adjustment on August 16th, but staff has denied the request. Section 14-50601B, facade materials and building requirements, indicates that all buildings and other structures must utilize brick, wood, natural stone, architectural cast stone, glass, or other comparable quality materials approved during the planning review process. Also, section 14-50601C, building design, delineates 7 standards, 2 of which must be met by the proposed building. So the applicant is now appealing this to the Planning Commission for consideration. So real quickly, I'll go through the photographs. Here's the aerial photograph showing the property. You can see Cracker Neck Road off to the west, duplexes, the shopping center again to the south. And this is more of a close-up. The applicant's site plan. This is a Google Earth close-in angled view of the property. And these are the drawings of the 5-bay building that the applicant submitted with his construction plans. So here's the building looking from Bolger north onto the property. So you can see it's a metal building with 5 bays facing the south. This is looking east down Bolger behind the backside of the Target and the JCPenney's locations. This is the condo project that lies adjacent to the east of this property. This is looking west back toward Cracker Neck and across Cracker Neck to the duplex community that lies to the west. And this is looking basically at the back of the JCPenney's, the screening of it. Okay, this is looking northeast, so you can see an existing or an older building there that was off to the left, and then this new building there behind the truck with the open door. So, staff recommends that this appeal for this small commercial building does not meet the non-residential design requirements and should not be approved. So, ready to take any questions you may have.
Thank you. Commissioners, do you have any questions of city?
Question
Yes.
to staff, of course. The building does not meet the required building material. Am I understanding that correct?
Yes, for a C2 district.
For a C2 district?
Materials and design requirements for a C2 district for the facade materials.
What would be remedy in the present state of the building that it's already erected? What is remedy?
Finish surface to the metal.
You could add finish surface to the metal, particularly I guess to the sides that don't have the doors, but you could do it around the doors as well.
Do we have other buildings like this that are non-conforming?
I mean, legal non-conforming older structures, but anything presently built in the last decade in a C2 district, in a commercial district, would not have been approved. For example, we've had there was an addition to the back of a building up on the square a few years ago. There's actually a metal building on the west side of the square. It's a metal building, but it had a treatment that looks like stucco. I can think of was it the Community of Christ Church, maybe on 23rd Street on the way from between Noland and Muggs Up, I think. I think they did an addition maybe a decade ago, and it had a metal siding that had a treatment that also made it look like it's a stucco building. I mean, we have a number of examples of stuff like that all around town that we've required.
What has staff received to date in terms of proposed remedy?
We have not received any kind of proposed materials. They're appealing to keep it as constructed.
Thank you.
And for clarification, this building in particular was issued a stop work order and it was constructed without any building permits in the first place.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Any other questions before we bring Mr. Carnes? All right. Mr. Carnes, you want to unmute and tell us what you know.
Madam Chairman, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I'm here at my law office and I have with me Mr. Don Keller, who's the founder of the business, and his son, Josh Keller, who stands to the right of me or behind me. The Kellers located this business there in 1970. I believe the neighbors were cows and coyotes at the time. And they have been a member of this community for many years, contributing to the tax base, employing individuals, and servicing many homes in Independence. The question came up about that was an indication that my client built this building without trying to consult the city. Well, last November, is it correct? My client made a repeated effort to contact the city, but nobody was there. Nobody was doing their job, and they had to go forward with this project, and they chose to do so because of the cost. They were building this, and this is a storage facility to protect their equipment from theft and vandalism that happens repeatedly. So then afterwards, we made inquiry to the city on what should be done. A stop order may have been appropriate, but I don't know what a stop order means when a building's already built. But we have gone through the paperwork and made application. Now, this standard that Brian has alluded to, a C2 zoning traditionally faces maybe a commercial street. This sets off from the street. This is not visual to the street, so to speak, as you would have a C2 property on Nolan Road or Chrysler or 40 Highway or any of those other kind of commercial avenues. This sets up, it's landscaped in the back considerably. The whole area is basically landscaped from the residential that's to the north. And my client simply had to put this in during this COVID, which the city was closed down, and they proceeded. It's structurally sound. It is has, as you can see in this recommendation, the other departments have all signed on. It doesn't have electricity. It's purely for storage. It doesn't have, what else would that have? Plumbing. It doesn't have plumbing because it's just for storage. And my feeling is that it should be approved, and I can't believe the staff has said not to approve it. And so that's the, if anybody wants to say anything, do you want to say anything, Josh?
Can you state your full name and your address, please?
Yeah, your name and address.
My full name is Joshua Keller. The address that I will reference is 17608 Cracker Neck Road, Independence, Missouri.
Thank you.
We erected this building out of necessity due to repeated.
Yeah, that's the address of the storage building. That's not a residence.
We need your residence address. I'm sorry. Thank you.
My residence is 121 Northeast Parks View Court, Lee Summit, Missouri. As I was saying, we erected this building simply to protect our trucks. Repeatedly, we've had break-ins, vandalism. I don't know if you've priced catalytic converters lately on commercial vehicles, but it's extremely expensive. We have security in place, we have video cameras, but it does no change. The only way we felt we could come to work in the morning and know that our equipment is usable was to put it inside of a building. Now that is just simply a basic building to keep them out of sight, out of touch. We have a very thorough alarm system in there, and that's it. It's simply to keep the trucks safe from vandalism. And we made several attempts to contact with the city.
When was that? State that.
It was in November of last year. I made a call to the fire department regarding a fire alarm going off at the old Dick's Sporting Goods store. I made 2 calls and never had a call back from the fire department. So if it sounds unbelievable that we didn't get a call back from the city, I'd like to use that as a reference point. I mean, a fire alarm is going off in a vacant, abandoned building, and I get no response from the fire department.
I'm sorry, but if we could stay on point, that would be good. An alarm for Dick is not.
Well, I was just referencing the frustration that we were feeling in the situation.
I understand.
Anything else, Josh?
No. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. So did you?
Madam Chair?
Yeah.
That's all we have, your Madam Chairman.
Thank you. Did you fill out an application and send it into the city? A physical application?
We have made an application out. Yes, we've processed an application and paid fees. We paid for an application fee. We paid a fee for this. We gave the information of the city that was requested on who the contractor was.
Was that before the building or after?
Well, not before the building, because we couldn't find anybody to give an application to.
I see.
If they were there doing their job, we would have been able to get in there and make an application.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
this commission met continuously twice a month during the pandemic. I am sincerely challenged to believe that the city staff would be non-responsive. Further, this is a veteran contractor who recognizes the protocols of licensings and the likes, especially given the fact that he has competent counsel with him today. Here we are at this point. Therefore, let's talk about remedy. City staff has proposed some type of material to be applied post haste. Has council given thought to how to remedy this situation and work with staff so that we can move forward and they can continue with safety of equipment? Council.
All right. Commissioner, in response, I may ask for a delay and we can approach the city and then come back to the planning commission. We may have reached an impasse and nothing can be done and would have to appeal to the council, or we may have come up with some remedy that may satisfy the staff.
I think that would be reasonable of council to, at this point. I know staff is reasonable. I know that you are learned at council. I am firm in my belief that a solution is at hand. And council, I hear your frustration, which probably reflects the frustration of your client. However, work with the city staff. Let's see what you can get done. And let's come back to this table once more. That's my recommendation, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Madam Chairman, if it is the desire of opposing counsel to request a continuance, remember the item before us this evening is whether or not the community development director properly made a decision to deny the appeal, okay, the request, and that is now being appealed. So the matter before us tonight is whether the community development director got that question, answered that question correctly. if opposing counsel and the applicant wish to continue this to see if there is some sort of a compromise that can be reached with respect to this, that would be a different matter for the community development director to consider. I certainly think, everybody here would like to find a cooperative way to work through this issue. But I think at that point, then what we would need is for the applicant to actually request a continuance to perhaps the next meeting, or to maybe give it even, the meeting after that, if whatever time is necessary from that standpoint.
So are you saying that applicant can request a continuance on this matter, or that we need to address the question at hand first?
I think it's up to the applicant to choose whether they would like to request a continuance to see if they can work this out, or to go ahead and have the commission vote on this evening.
Okay. John?
Madam Chairman.
Barnes, does your client wish to continue this out 2 weeks or 4 weeks to work out a solution?
I hereby make a request for the applicant to have this request continued to the next Planning Commission hearing.
All right, thank you.
September 28th.
October 28th?
No,
Right.
September 28th.
September. Sorry, September's almost over in my mind. So commissioners, the consideration is the request by applicant to request to continue this until September 28th.
Is a motion required, madam?
Yes.
So
Is it
moved.
discussion? Okay.
I second.
That's a move to approve, correct?
Is that a move to approve, Commissioner
Yes.
Preston?
Absolutely, always in the affirmative.
The move to approve the continuance of this case number 21-840-11. Is that correct? Okay, and Commissioner Wiley seconded. And we are ready for a vote.
Commissioner Ferguson. Please stop that.
Commissioner Ferguson had to leave that.
Commissioner Wiley,
Yes.
Commissioner Young,
Yes.
Commissioner Preston,
Yes.
and Chairman McLean.
Yes. Case number 21-840-01, appeal to an administrative adjustment decision to the non-residential design requirements has been requested by the applicant to be continued until the September 28th meeting. That has been approved. So thank you. And we'll see you again. All right. Approval of the minutes. I'll give you all a minute.
Madam Chairman, if I could interrupt for a second, I apologize. I also had a Board of Aldermen meeting I was supposed to be at 7:30 this evening, and I begged their permission to stay on this call until that occurred. If you don't mind, I'm going to exit right now and get on the road to get down to Archie, Missouri to get that taken care of.
Madam Chair, the Learned Counsel in his excellent presentations this evening has not presented on piano. He does.
I'll have to do my homework for next time.
We're gonna have to bring them up to speed on that.
I
one.
withdraw the request, Madam Chair.
Yeah, I'm missing the joke.
Yeah, we're gonna have to explain that one to you, but thank you for your counsel.
Appreciate it.
Safe travel.
Thank you.
Okay, has everybody had a chance to
Madam
look
Chair,
at
the minutes appear to be in good order and excellent representation of our last meeting. By the way, that was kind of interesting to have an interactive counselor. That was helpful. Interesting.
very, very
Don't
nice.
tell him that, I would not publicly applaud any attorney, of course, but that's about as close as I'm going to get to it. Good job.
All right, so approval of the minutes. All of those in favor, raise your hand or say aye. Aye. The minutes are approved. Okay. So yes, I agree. It was really nice to have the council be able to respond and to dive down into some of those codes that are not always right in front of us. That was very helpful. Round
I forgot, but there was no in that Elgin, the house with the tree.
Yeah.
There was no fire department report in that. I just,
it was later.
huh?
I think it came later.
It
Yeah.
did?
Yeah.
We did have a report. They did,
Yeah.
they did do an inspection.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's in our email.
all right.
It didn't make the packet. So.
Right.
All right. Whew.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Round table. Jordan is working on a training for us. I don't know if Jordan, you want to say any more about that, but we requested a training for commissioners as a refresher and to all new commissioners, just on items like how to make a motion, why we repeat some of the things that we do, how important it is to, and how best to respond to concerns from the public, you know, how to make sure that they understand that their voice got heard and their questions get answered. And just sometimes we have to repeat things and it feels very repetitive, but it's important for the transcript. And so I think that that will be helpful guidance. And if there's anything else that you all think that you would like to have some training on, maybe put it in an email to Jordan. So as they put together a training for us, and it'll probably be at the end of a meeting.
That works.
Yeah, I just to clarify, Rick is working on that, and he's working with Lauber Law Firm, represented well tonight by Joe Lauber, and they will be doing that at some point, and we'll probably come to you in a few weeks, you know, in a meeting or two with some details or to ask you when you'd like to have that presentation. So yeah, we're working on that, and we'll have something for you soon. So
Thank you. I need a real refresher course before we go in the room, because I think I've mentioned before, I have to remember to say the Pledge of Allegiance. I have to remember to bang the gavel. There's stuff. All right,
I
everybody.
think the chair is capable.
Oh, I can hit something. Yeah, probably.
You have not been able to get these attorneys to do the piano, however.
That's true. Epic fail. We'll have to figure that one out. All right, everybody. The meeting is adjourned at 7:43. Well done. Good questions. And we're done. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thanks, guys.
Yes.
Good night.
It's not too early to pop your popcorn for the September 28th meeting.
It's so true.
but if I do it now, it'll be cold.
Yeah. We'll do it right before.
Okay.
I got
Have a
to
good
go.
evening.
See ya.
Thank you.